is Aurora Reali, and here I am presenting my mentoring assignment where I established an ongoing mentoring relationship with a person who would benefit from having a technology mentor. Who is my mentee? Beth, a professor of mathematics who taught in higher education for 25 years. Her goals are to help her students see math in different contexts in their day-to-day life. How did I meet my mentee? As I was having a conversation with my son's math teacher, I explained to her about the many technology tools I'm using in my master's program at CSU Fullerton. Then she shared about the various tensions in her own professional development as a higher education instructor. What convinced me she would be a good mentee? After my first interview with Beth, I conducted a follow-up interview. I used the TPAC visual as a focal point and asked her to describe her practices relative to the TPAC framework. This allowed me to tap into her individual practices, strategies, previous experiences, and ideas about using technologies in teaching. How I decided the focus of the mentoring relationship. The focus was around her knowledge of technology. Beth described photographs and maps as technologies she used in her teaching, but she was more interested in developing the interactive and live action component between her and her students. So I decided to introduce my mentee to the TPAC framework. It was obvious that the TPAC is a very emerging idea for Beth, both as a concept and as something that she practices. At first, I explained to her how my interest in technological pedagogical knowledge stemmed from my own experiences as an instructor in higher education. Next, I listened to her first experiences teaching with technology. I did assignments like math walks, where her students would use a map to find a location, brainstorm about the math needed to build or solve a problem, take a photograph, and then back in the classroom, give presentations about their findings and how to solve it. But the question now was how she could accomplish this through distance learning. In my first mentoring session, I helped her think differently about how to frame math problems in ways that students use both their knowledge and various tools, which could actually increase the interaction between students' math knowledge and society while participating in distance learning. Because Beth teaches math as a cultural experience, she wanted to give her students math problems so they can build their knowledge from what they know. Here's when I suggested certain video editing techniques and software that she could instruct her students on. I suggested Adobe Spark and VoiceThread as perfect presentation tools that give her students a voice recording option. In the third session, I thought it would be very helpful for Beth to use a learning app such as Explain Everything. I mentored her on creating electronic lecture notes and sample problems, which helped her students make connections between the mathematical concepts learned in class and how these principles apply in the real world. At the end of the mentoring sessions, Beth became less resistant and more intentional about exploring technologies and how she might incorporate them in her teaching. This also influenced her decision to participate in future college-offered professional development workshops around integrating technology and pedagogy. Beth found the individual support she received from mentoring with me, reinforcing her TPAC development. Quote, "I like asking my technology question to someone who gets teaching. Aurora is focused on teaching and learning more than technology." Close quote. The main lesson learned by me. 3 questions to consider. How will my students interact with the course content? How will my students interact with other students? And how will my students interact with me, their instructor? Asking these questions can help you see the course from the student's point of view and think about remote instruction in a new way. The main lesson learned by my mentee is to consider the new learning environment from a student-centered perspective. This can be helpful in extending your thinking beyond content delivery to these three forms of student interaction. I feel I had an overview from the very beginning of what this mentoring experience would be. Whenever one is teaching a colleague, it's always a rewarding experience for you as well as a learning experience for both. This experience showed me how much teachers are willing, despite of being scared and reluctant, to embrace this new fascinating world of teaching with technology.